let's get this thing started, huh?
Okay.
So now, here's the funny thing. Uh,
Mm.
it feels weird, like to do those awesome introductions I do on YouTube, because on live it's like a different, it's like a different thing altogether. You know?
So you want me to introduce myself?
No, I start introducing myself, the usual thing I usually do on YouTube,
Okay.
and then you can introduce yourself.
Oh no, no. Okay. Okay, you can go.
What's fine, fine. Let me go. So to everyone who's just joined, thank you so much for being on this platform. It's unfortunate that we couldn't do it on my channel on Stride. But anyways, to those who don't know me, I'm Tinashe Moyo, and this is Stride. This is a channel where I aim to inspire people to take the first step towards their goals in life using my personal experiences. But in this case, I have a really good friend of mine who chose to go live with me and share his own story. And I will condone you for being so persistent to have this live thing, because I did my best not to run away. I really did, but not because I hate you, you know, but just because I just
Mm.
wanted to take care of a few things. I think work related. So yeah, at least
Yeah.
now this is Easter, we can finally do this. So welcome to the show, and thank you so much for taking the time to find interest to share your story.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome. Also for people who don't know me, my name is also Tinashe, funny enough. And and I don't know, just to introduce a little bit of myself. I come from I can't really say a big family, but it's almost big. I have like four sisters and two brothers, and both my parents are still alive. And yeah, that's basically it. My life is boring, like I told. So yeah, but just to explain like how I know you and stuff.
Hmm.
So a while ago, whilst I was still in high school, I was having issues with my dad, and my parents thought it was best if I go and stay with my grandmother for a bit, you know. And when you're like 16, 17, now you have a big head and all the stuff, and how a culture there can't be two bulls in a car. So I ended up in Southampton in and I remember the first day I came to Southampton, like I don't know where you were coming from. And my grandmother like, oh, this guy stays just across the road, and his name is Tinashe, or blah blah blah. One thing led to another. Here we are.
That's cool.
That's exactly how it happened. Huh?
What
That's exactly how it happened. Like,
I I I
even though it, even though you're quite boring, but then it is what it is. Yeah, I know.
now I honestly can't remember how it happened on my end, because you shared your own
Yeah.
side, but on my end I can't even remember how that happened. I think it was Minte who actually got me to speaking to you. Otherwise, I would just see you walking down the streets and just like, you know, this guy.
Yeah, I was quite reserved back then. Like, but now it's a totally different story.
Yeah, but I
But
think,
yeah, that's my story.
yeah, and I think we actually had a decent run when you were staying in Southampton, because I remember all those things like hitting the gym. Yeah, people might even laugh. Why would this guy talk about the gym? And I mean, look at
Dude,
his shoulders, his neck, all of those things. But
was that gym. We were just going to lift weights. That wasn't even gym. You know? That
Backyard,
wasn't even gym.
backyard type of thing.
Yeah, big gym.
Was the gym, and then it was the
Mhm.
morning jogs as well. Well, what else did I do?
Yeah, yo, dude, it's been a while. Some of the stuff I don't even remember. You know?
Yeah, but fun times, fun times. But anyways,
Yeah.
I think getting into the actual story, I was
Mm.
actually surprised when you spoke about the whole depression thing. I actually didn't know about that. And like, were there any specific things like in your family? I think you spoke a bit about your dad maybe, but were there any other specific events in your family that also contributed to you know your depression? Or rather, should I say, when did you actually start picking up the whole depression thing?
I think it's been there, like it's been underlying for a while, like the whole situation with my mom and my dad. I feel like that's when it really started because at that time I'm a boy, I'm a boy, I'm a man, whatever it is. But I don't want to believe I was a young adult.
All right.
You're at a stage where you probably need your dad the most,
Mm,
you know. Like you need this guidance, you need just someone to talk to, but then you find yourself in a situation where you have to deal with everything by yourself, you know. Like someone is present, but his presence is not there, a type of situation. So, but back then, like I feel like no one was really willing to talk about it, like the whole depression and stuff.
mm,
So as you grow older, it's things that you just push back to the back of your head. You're like, I, life is to go on, it is what it is. You're just telling yourself that it is what it is. By that time, you're like 16, 17, 18. They say you are an adult when you're 18, but then I feel like that's just a myth, you know. You haven't really uh, been there or something like that. So it started like from a young age, but then you're just pushing it back, and then you don't have a lot of responsibilities or stuff to do. Only thing that you worry about is just going to school, passing, and all that stuff. Then you end up being in a faraway country, like thousands of kilometers away from home.
mm.
But I personally believe it started then, like when I started figuring out that my family is falling apart and stuff, and you don't have anyone to talk to.
Okay.
So yeah, I believe that's the main contributing factor to all that stuff.
Okay. So did you have like anyone in your family you were comfortable to talk about?
Like I said, when I was young, I was quite reserved, so talking wasn't really my thing. But then
Okay.
when I moved to SA, like things became a bit better because I was staying with my sister then, and she was probably the biggest influence of my life up until today. She still is. So it got a bit better, like. But of course, there are some stories that you can't really open up just like and yeah, it's been my sister. I believe it's been my sister. And lately, I feel like my mom has started coming to the party. Not that it's too late, but then now I think she's starting to understand that there's this thing called depression. It's like this, it's like that. So she's been trying. I won't lie, she's been trying.
Mm,
So yeah, it's probably my mom and my sister, the people that I'm actually very comfortable talking to about.
okay. Because yeah, I
Mm.
really, I really do believe in communicating. I think with the ones you actually trust. And one of the issues I think, especially with us as guys, is we really don't like talking about these things. Not because we can't, but I think we fear being judged. by people. Because most people think that depression is just for white people, but it happens, you know, but it actually happens to just about anyone. So at least
Yeah.
if you were able to speak to your sister and your mom, I think that was um, a decent step to start off with. And then you can always build it up from there. And even being able to just share with me, I really appreciated that, especially as someone who's also been through that journey myself. It's
Mm.
it's very appreciated. I won't lie.
Yeah, but then I know they are family, but yo, dude, opening up to people is it's scary because you're not really sure how they're gonna react, what they're gonna say,
Mm,
or how they're gonna handle whatever it is that you tell them that you're going through. And the worst thing is sometimes you're telling someone that has never found themselves in your shoes, you know.
yeah.
So it's like you're telling someone and they don't know how to help you.
Mm,
Up until a point that there was a time this side I found myself like surrounded by a lot of people who, how do I put it, were quite judgmental, if you know what I mean. Like you're telling someone something and then already they start judging you. They don't even know like what's happening or stuff like that. But yeah, having family around actually helps. You know, that's 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 the one thing that I've actually really learned from this whole journey.
yeah. Family is always important because at least
Mm,
they are the ones who know you more than anyone else does.
exactly.
Mm,
So yeah, having family around is probably the best thing you can ever do if you find yourself in such a situation.
yeah, sure. And I think just
Mm.
coming back to Southerton a little bit, uh, did you ever feel depressed when you were around?
I don't think so, because I feel like in Southerton, that's when I really had like a lot of people around me. You know,
Mm,
it was you, it was Tinashe, it was the Rastas, it was Masara, it was a lot of people. So you know, any if you turn left when you get out of the gate, if you turn left, if you turn right, if you go straight, there's always someone to talk to. You know, and
mm,
for me, I've actually not realized one thing about myself. Like whatever situation I find myself in, be it an argument or a conflict with someone, the best thing I can ever do is have a conversation with that someone.
mm,
You know. So for me, talking actually helps. Like if you and I have an argument and we just let it go, I'm just like, I know this. I don't care about this guy. But deep down, I'm like, I really want to have a conversation with this guy because I want him to understand how this made me feel or how this affected me. You know. So yeah, Southerton, I can't really blame Southerton. I had fun in Southerton, dude. I was barely stressed. And I feel like that's when I started drinking alcohol as well, so it was a vibe. Mm.
mm.
It was a vibe, I won't lie. It was a vibe.
Yeah, we actually had good times. Like remember
Yeah, we did.
that picture I told you about. I think the one.
No, please,
Well,
please never post that picture. Please never post that picture. Whatever happens, even if you're married, please never post that picture.
I think it's still on my Facebook, and I'm actually going to put it on my YouTube because I'm gonna like put this whole thing on YouTube and then just edit it a bit.
Hey,
Like
stuff.
click on this section
Hey, dude. Okay, let's go.
because it's an iconic picture. So I think it actually brings back good memories.
Yeah, it does. It does. I won't lie. It does.
So, like, did leaving Southerton feel isolating for you?
At that point, it was just like, oh no, I'm moving back home,
Mm,
Uh, but then you're like, when you get home, you start realizing that, what, you're not really happy in the situation that you're in, And then actually, when I moved back home, my issues with my dad just got worse. you know, up to a point that sometimes we almost like got into physical fights, just me and him. And now you're just done with high school. You think you're the man and all that shit. So that's how bad it was, dude. I'm being for you. That's how bad it was. You know. So I don't know. I feel like moving from Southampton was probably a bad idea, or it was bad timing, or whatever it is.
Mm,
But also in the end, I don't know where I would be if I was still there.
yeah,
To
true.
be honest, because I was a bit relaxed when I was there. To be honest, even at school, I was just like, you know what, I'll figure it out at some time. That's what I was just riding on the I'll figure it out later vibe, which wasn't really helping me. So yeah, moving, I can't really say it was a bad thing, but then it is what it is. It
No,
was growth. I believe it was growth.
yeah, yeah. I think
Mm.
it was necessary. But then uh
Yeah.
I think coming back to me, like when you guys left,
Mm.
I think that's when I started experiencing some depression episodes because I felt so lonely. You guys were actually the ones who kept things together. So just knowing you were going away, Tinashe was also going away. Minte was actually going to the UK as well.
The problem is there are too many tinashes, so
Too
you don't
many
even know
Tinashes,
what's
so
happening.
it's a big issue for us now. But yeah, just knowing
Yeah.
that you guys were leaving, I actually felt so lonely. Of course, I had Perai, but I think uh, Perai actually started going to work before me, and
Mm.
you're like
Now you have to spend the whole day at home alone.
alone. So
Yeah.
it was just terrible.
Yeah, I understand. Even when I left, like I could feel like there was a huge part of me that stayed behind.
Mm.
I know it was probably like just 2 years or something like that, but those 2 years were like a big deal to me.
Yeah, yeah, you could see. I think I've got another picture of you and me. I think it was by the shops. Yeah,
Mm.
I won't describe. I'll just share it. You will see that.
Yeah, plus, Southampton was fun up to a point that even now when I'm in the same, I'm even scared to go there because I don't know what to expect. Yeah. So
Yes.
it's like I would rather hang on to the good memories than create new ones.
Mm. Yeah, it's
Uh,
quite understandable because I think to to be able to progress in life, you can't um, look back to some of the things that gave you help. Sometimes you can look back just to
yeah,
learn,
true.
but just going back to be in that space again, it really takes you like 10 or 20 steps back.
Yeah, so that's why when I get back home, I'm like, should I go? Should I not go? So it's like you're stuck in between. So I just decided, you know what? If I'm gonna meet someone, it's probably gonna be in town or something. I don't want to ruin the memories that I have of that place. Because now you go back there and it's not what you're expecting or what you're looking forward to, then it becomes a shit show.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd say it's understandable. And you were saying you are most likely visiting Zim. Was it next week?
Yeah, probably just after Easter. That's the plan. Hopefully, it doesn't change.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't change for sure. Because I mean, uh, I think we really need to catch up. Apart from this, like we just need to catch
Yeah,
up with this and just be our actual selves.
yeah. It's a pity Tinashe is not there anymore. But then I would have loved to come whilst he was still there.
Yeah, it just reminded me of those times in Southerton. I mean, you guys always had fights. I
But remember, I was dealing with a kid. That boy was a kid.
and in a way, it felt like you kind of lowered yourself to to his level at that time.
Actually, that was the situation. Now that I think about it, like I would always like lower myself to his level just to make him feel like he's part of the group. That's how it was. That's how
But
it was for me.
it was always awkward for me because I'm not much of a talker. So you guys being in fights every time, I'd just be silent and just waiting for like the last call. Like, yeah, don't ever do that again. And then I'll be like, okay, let's go.
Now we can move on.
We can move on. That's the only thing I could do.
Mm, yeah, I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So, I mean, getting back to the life in SA, did
Hmm.
the pressures of university contribute to your depression in any way?
Yeah, dude. I probably went to, how do I put it? I probably went to the most depressing university in South Africa, if I'm being honest. I'm sure people who are here who have been to Stellenbosch can tell you how depressing Stellenbosch can be. No, I'm being for you. I'm being for you. Like it was the most. It's still, I believe, it's still the most depressing place you can be.
Mm,
But then it's like you're not there to have fun. You know,
yeah.
you are there. You are there for something, and your priority is never gonna change. Even if you're there for a year, even if you're there for 10 years, you always have a priority.
Mm,
But on that as well, I believe uh, I became best friends with someone who became like a huge part of my life. You know, up until today, like the way he still talks to me, the way he still asks me for advice, or if he finds himself in like a pickle, the way he just, I know he's always gonna come to me first, and that's probably one of the best things I ever got from varsity. You know, and him, knowing that I had him,
mm.
and his name is Nyasha, by the way.
Oh,
Knowing that I had him, but a lot of people call him Hapson, Hapson, you know. So having knowing that I had him and my sister, it actually made like my life at university a bit better.
okay.
Because going home, I would know like, okay, I have someone at home, you know. Yeah, my sister can be too strict. I'm not gonna lie.
Mm,
She even up to today, she's quite principled, and I believe I got that from her. And you go home knowing that okay, my sister's there. Then you go to class, you know, okay, I got someone who's always gonna be there. No, Sihle, please don't. Yeah, but then yeah, what Sihle just said, he's probably one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Like up until today. So it was the support system was actually very good. You know, I can't really blame that.
that's good. Yeah, it's actually good, like having a support system like that guy who's always
Mm.
willing to just stick with you, uh, anytime, any place. I think it's very necessary because I think the terrible thing is being like you know, outside of Zim and not really having a support system. I think yeah, that's one of the hardest things to deal with.
I don't know. Someone called Water Had Braids just said, "Does depression come from school pressure or financial pressure?"
Ah,
Honestly, I think it differs. You know,
yeah.
differs from person to person. Sometimes some people get depressed by school, sometimes by financial pressure, sometimes just being alone is depressing, you know.
Mm,
So I think it's actually it varies from person to person.
yeah.
So yeah, school pressure, there is some people get depressed by school pressure and financial pressure and all that stuff. But it's not everyone who's gonna be in that same boat. Hmm.
Yeah, that's true. And sometimes it can be a bit of both or just everything all at
Or
once.
just everything, all
Mm,
at once. Yeah. So I can't really say if it's school pressure or financial pressure.
mm. Yeah, it always depends. And like, you know, I'm just thinking to myself, I think for me, it
Hmm.
it just started off with the pressures of not going to work because
Yeah.
I spent a lot of years at home, more than 5 years, I'm sure. And you just
Mm.
see people younger than you
They
progressing,
already.
taking all of those steps, and then you start feeling cursed in a way, like, well, what's really wrong with me? So those things are quite difficult, and be, also being alone. Ah, man, I like my room here. I'm usually alone most of the time,
Mm.
so
You
it
do.
yeah.
When you're going through a depression period, I
Mhm.
feel like the worst thing you can ever do is be by yourself.
Yeah.
Is be by yourself. I'm saying that because lately I've been staying alone, and sometimes it feels like the walls are closing in on you.
I get you.
Like the house starts feeling too small, like the walls are closing in on you, like literally about to squash you in the house. So it's like staying alone, being alone, bad idea. Bad idea. The best thing you can do for yourself in such situations probably, if you can't be with family, try and talk to people around you, or you have to do something, bro. You have to do something, honestly. You have to do something.
Yeah, and I noticed on the post you put up on Instagram recently,
Mm,
uh,
yeah.
I think you spoke about therapy.
Yeah.
How long have you been going to therapy, and how has it really helped you in terms of coping with depression?
I started like proper therapy like first month of university. You know, like
Yeah.
I didn't know how to cope. Since I've been out of school for like a few years, I didn't know how to cope with being back in school, and now you're stuck in school with people who are much younger than you, so it's like a totally different environment. So I was like, one of my lectures was like, why don't you try therapy?
Mm,
I tried it. It worked for me, but at that time I went for like 2 3 months. You know, which was a lot of money, but then at the end of the day, it was totally worth it. So I tried it in first year. It worked for me. Then the therapist was like, "I honestly feel like you're in a good place now. So I'm gonna recommend that you stop coming for a while." You know, all was good. Then the past few years, I think, starting from COVID, I was quite depressed in COVID. I was always thinking, like, it was always in the back of my mind, maybe I need to go back to therapy. Maybe I need to talk to someone who doesn't know me, blah, blah, blah. Then I actually got the strength to go this year.
okay.
I started going back again this year, like twice a week now. So usually on a Monday and on a Thursday. And
Mm,
it's probably been the best decision I've made this year.
okay, that's
Like,
nice.
there was a time earlier this year, there was a time I felt like I wasn't, but I was so close to being suicidal, you know,
Mm,
because I feel like I never got to deal with some of the stuff that has happened in the past, because I was always hiding behind people, always hiding behind alcohol and all this stuff. But then now, when you're alone, now you have a lot of time to be in your head, and then you start thinking. So I was in a very dark place. I won't lie. I started losing weight. There was a time I remember the worst time was like I went for like 10 days without eating anything. I would try to eat, but then the food wouldn't go down. So I was just surviving on liquids. Then this other day I was dressing up to go to work in the morning. Then I
mm,
realized like, oh, I've lost. Like my favorite pants, the ones that I know fit perfectly, were now too big for me. You know, I was like, yo, you know what? It's bad. I need to take care of myself. You know. And then at that point where you start being thinking about being suicidal and all, I started thinking about my family.
Mm.
Like, you know what? If I go down this path, how many people are gonna be affected by this decision? Especially noticing that the closest family that I have right now is in Joburg and I'm in Cape Town. So if anything happens to me, these people still have to come fetch me or anything. So it was at that point that I was like, you know what? I need to take care of myself. I need to prioritize my mental health and I need to go to more therapy sessions. So going to therapy has actually been the best thing that has happened to me this year. Uh, because sometimes you're trying to. My biggest fear when it comes to mental health and all that stuff, and it's actually happened to me before. I'm not gonna say any names, but because I've already gotten over it and stuff, it's like my biggest fear has always been you vent to someone, huh? Like, oh, I'm going through this stuff and all that stuff. And that same person, you are venting to someone you trust. Like, you believe, okay, I can trust this person. Yeah. And that person starts using that stuff against you, you know, or that person starts goes on the outside and start making fun of you because of that. So it's like, okay, I'm trusting you with my mental well-being, but then you're just actually making fun of me. How does that work? You know, I
Mm.
understand you probably don't understand what I'm going through, but then me actually coming to you and saying this, it means I trust you. It means I want to be open to you. It means I want to be vulnerable to you. So that also like it actually also made things a bit worse for me. You know, like I didn't know who to trust. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know who to vent to. And the worst thing was I was alone. So therapy actually helped me like a lot. Like now I look forward to it. Like I've even people even where I was working, like people would know that I need to go to therapy.
Mm.
You know, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't feel like maybe I might just reduce the amount of times that I go, but then I feel like I'm gonna be going more.
Okay. At least
And
yeah,
it
continue.
did. And when I went there the first day after I
Mhm.
spoke to the lady, it was like, I think you need to let loose for a bit. You know, she was like, "What's the one thing that you've always wanted to do, or always wanted that you never gotten to do?"
Mm.
I thought for a bit, and I was like, you know what? I've always loved a tattoo. Yeah. I was like, I always I always feel look like a tattoo is gonna look good on me. Then she was like, yeah, just do it. Why don't you do it? Don't even get a big one. Just get a small one. So now on my way home, I was just like, you know what? Why not? And 2 days later, I got my first tattoo. And to be honest, it is probably the one thing that I love about myself the most at this point in time. Because it makes me feel good about myself.
And I actually noticed on your post that it says trust the process.
Yeah. I've always felt like everything happens for a reason, you know.
Mm.
It's it's a process and this life thing, no, it's got no formula, you know.
That's true.
What works for you what works for you probably won't work for me. And what's right in your eyes is probably not right for me.
Mm.
Mm.
And I was just thinking before I ask the next question, like uh, going back to my time with a little bit of those struggles. I think it was 2017. If you watched
Mm.
my I think it should be episode 4, the one that says how God made me a living testimony. When I was
Yeah.
uh, diagnosed with high blood pressure 2017, it was really hard for me to handle, and I got so
Mm,
depressed to the point where, I I had a medical condition which I thought was cancerous. And I think that's where the whole depression thing really escalated. Going to the doctors, getting scans and everything, I was told that it was non-cancerous, but it still needed emergency surgery. But still,
mm,
I did not feel any kind of relief. I think it actually got worse. I texted my dad and just told him, like, oh, there's no cancer, so at least I'm surviving for a couple of more years. Because initially I told myself in my mind that if it's cancer, 5 years tops, then I die. I mean, that's the worst thing to think of for anyone. But it's exactly what happened. So I think during that period, I was also scheduled for an interview, but I had to miss the interview because of the surgery. It got really, really worse. I there was this sensation like around my chest. I couldn't, sometimes I couldn't really breathe. It's like I was just feeling blades like just crossing around my chest. It was terrible. But then I had no one to really speak to, because I think at that time I was quite young to really understand that it's okay to share some of these things with people, because I was just like, oh,
mm.
I'm still young. I'm like in my late 20s, early 30s, already diagnosed with high blood pressure. Obviously, people are gonna laugh at you. So I just kept it to myself. It took a lot of time. And fast forward to the time where I stopped taking medication, that was the worst thing I could have done for myself. I I just felt terrible. I just felt sick. All of those things happening at the same time. It took a lot of courage for me to go back to the doctors, to get back on medication, get blood tests done. When the doctors told me about my blood test results, they said nothing was affected during the time I wasn't taking medication. So you can free your mind. But I still felt I still felt a little bit depressed. And even my friend asked me, like, oh, so now you have a peace of mind. And I was just like, no, I still feel the same way. I don't know how it's going to go. But that friend, she's a workmate of mine. Her name is Chipo. She
Mm.
called me, and I think we had like a 2-hour conversation. And I think she's one of the greatest people I've ever met in my entire life. Like, she really helped me understand a lot of things, how to deal. I think in a way, she's like a therapist who doesn't know she's a therapist yet. And
You think all the things a therapist does, huh?
yeah, I think it's just built in her. So, like, looking at the time when I first had that conversation with her to now, I feel much, much better. Like, I'm not at 100%, but I'm not how I used to be before. Because it also takes baby steps for you to really get to a point where you feel like, oh, I feel whole again. I feel better. It just doesn't happen in an instance. So I think also at the same time, we just need to understand that it's not gonna happen in an instant. For you to feel better, healing, it's just like a wound. Unless you're Wolverine, of
Yeah,
course, if you get a cut, you quickly heal. But if you're a human like us, it takes time.
yeah, true, true. That's very true. And therapy has taught me that sometimes it's okay to not be fine.
Yeah,
You know, it's really okay to be fine. Like, we all go through bad days, but you just have to remember that tomorrow is always gonna be better. You know.
true.
So yeah, depression, dude, it can really take you to a dark place. Because I remember even in 2017, like your posts were different, dude. Like I would text you sometimes, and then you'll be like, only reply after like 5 6 days. I'm like, I've even forgotten that I texted you. So it was quite weird. And at that point in time, I'm like I won't even lie. I've always been one of those people that have been like, yeah, this can't happen to me.
Mm.
You know, like this can never happen to me. I know I'm always a bubbly person. I'm always joking around and stuff. But then it happened, dude.
Yeah.
And it happens when you least expect it.
Mm. That's true.
And the worst thing you can ever do, or the worst stage, is just accepting, like, you know what, this is happening to me.
Mm.
Uh, like, this is what's up. So, yeah, I totally understand how you got there. There's, there isn't much that you can say about it. It's happened already. But I feel like sometimes shit like that happening, it only makes you know how to deal with it better in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. And I think it's even more helpful having this conversation because at the end of the day, you can't take someone through a place you've never been to. If I had not been,
Yeah, you can't really.
yeah,
Mm.
if I had not been in a depressive state, I don't think I'd have been able to have this conversation with you.
Yeah, so it's like you saying something that you been through, so
Mm.
you know how it feels. You know how it feels. But then, dude, the worst thing about depression, the worst thing I've noticed about depression is whether you're going through it or not.
Mm.
Life is going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you go out in the streets, people just look at you and they're expecting you to be fun.
Mm.
If you go to work, people are still expecting you to put 100%.
Exactly.
If you hang out with your friends, they're still expecting you to be bubbly and all that stuff. And that's the one thing that kills you from the inside.
Mm.
Uh, and there was a time where I found myself like depressed. And the worst thing is, I was in a toxic environment.
Okay.
Like a very toxic environment, not just a very toxic environment where
Mm.
anything can happen at any time.
Yeah.
Anything can happen at any time. Those are the type of situation. So it's like you try to push it to the back of your head. You're like, I know what, I'll deal with this later when I get home. But then when you get home, you have other stuff happening as well. So yeah. But anyway, they're losing track. I feel like we're losing track.
I think it's just an open-ended thing. So
Yeah.
and I was actually thinking like um I know depression can be a lot of things. In terms
Mm,
of like relationships,
yeah.
how did you navigate while facing depression? Either romantic relationships or just the actual relationships with friends and all of that.
Yeah, dude. That was probably the hardest part. You know,
Mm.
like you are with someone and they probably have an idea of that things is not everything is fine up in your head. But then now you also don't want them to be suffering.
Yeah.
You know, you also don't want them to be in a dark place because you are in a dark place.
Mm.
So I just made a promise to myself that whatever happens, I'm never gonna let anyone around me suffer for because of what I'm going through. And but also that being said, now you have to be careful of who you talk to and what are you gonna say to them. But like I told you earlier, sometimes I told someone I trusted something, you know, and they knew everything I was going through. The next thing I hear, they're making fun of me in public, you
Mm.
know. So it instead of it actually helping me, it just made things worse for me at that point in time. But then I was just like, you know what? Maybe they don't understand what I'm going through, so I'm just gonna. You just forgive someone in silence, like, oh, you did this, they did this, it's fine. Let me just try and deal with my own stuff. Then we can talk about this some other time.
Mm.
So it does affect your relationships too. As much as you try not to, it does affect your relationships. It does affect the people around you. They might not tell you, but it does affect them.
Mm.
So being in a relationship and also fighting depression, it's like being stuck in two worlds, because now being in a relationship is supposed to make you happy. You know,
Exactly.
a relationship is supposed to be your comfort zone.
Mm.
It's supposed to be the place where you are most vulnerable.
Mm.
But now you also got stuff going on in your head. So now you have to be halfway there and halfway there,
Yeah, it's the
which
hard
is
part.
not fair on which is not fair on the next person.
Mm.
You know? But then it comes a point where you're like, okay, do I want this person to be there for me, or don't I want this person to be there for me? And it also depends. Honestly, it also depends on the type of relationship you have with someone.
Mm.
Because you can be friends with someone, but you do not have that relationship with them that you can tell them, you know what, dude, I can't hang out with you this weekend. I've got some stuff that I'm dealing with, and you expect them to understand. Some people don't understand. They'll probably think like you're trying to avoid them, or something like that. So I was just like, let me just deal with my own stuff. If someone comes and asks, and there's some people who just say, "Oh, Tinashe, are you fine?"
Mm.
And you're just like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Then they move on. Then there's some people who just be like, "Are you fine?" Then they're like, "No." They're like, "I know, dude, you don't look like it. You know,
Mm.
you don't look like it." So you have to maintain the balance in a relationship. Otherwise, you're gonna lose both your head in the relationship.
Yeah, that's true. It just reminds me of the relationship I had, I think, 2017, 2018, especially the
Mm,
time when things got really dark for me. Uh,
yeah.
Sometimes I would just be silent, or you hint that you want to say something, but you don't say it. Then I got a text from the person I was with at that time, and he just said, I noticed something about you. You've changed. It's like you want to say stuff, but you don't say it. So I don't know how you feel, and I don't know how to feel. So please, uh, at least change and speak to me. But still, I had no idea how to navigate through that. And, to this day, I kind of feel bad for being in that state and handling things in that kind of state, because I think I failed to control myself, control my emotions, and I ended up just falling out of love. And then I spent like 2, 3 months with her, but not being in love. So that was the hardest thing for me. And then next thing, you just have to call things off. Like, uh, you then make it seem like they are the ones at fault, but in actual fact, you're the one with the problem. So I failed to deal with that, but at the same time, I had no one else to really talk to really open up to. So yeah, it was a really tough situation.
But given the opportunity to go back there, would you wanna fix that?
Given the opportunity, I would,
Mm.
but the things are different now.
Yeah, of course, of course, of course. Like I said before, life goes on, dude. Life goes on.
Exactly. Exactly.
But it is what it is.
Yeah. So
And that's
yeah.
mm, that's the worst thing. Like if you go to depression, then like you're saying things have changed,
Hmm.
and now you're in a better space. How do you even go about fixing bonds that you broke, like was you depressed and stuff? That's the one thing that really worries me, because now you find yourself stuck in a situation where a lot of people are you are quite judgmental. The people around you.
Hmm.
So now you're like, okay, I want to fix this relationship I had with Tinashe, blah blah blah, and then you start talking to someone, then someone's like, what if your depression comes back?
Dude.
Dude, people are mean out there. Dude, people
I
are
know.
mean out there. Eh? It's like, oh, what if it comes back?
Yeah, it's a really uh tough situation to handle because I think
Mm,
the funny thing for me, uh, I'm the one who actually tells myself those things. What if this happens again? What if that happens again? But I think it also comes back to the issue of how strong you've become. Obviously, people are different, but because I think through pain, you you build endurance. So I think first thing is first, it sounds weird, it sounds hard, but at least just
mm,
believing in yourself that you will be okay. I think it makes it easier for you to deal with what the next person says. Because for me, from experience, I always had issues, like I said, telling myself, what if this comes back? What if this happens again? But there's just some form of belief that builds up in you where you start telling yourself, okay, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I I found this small little image from this church from based in the United States called Transformation Church. They have crazy faith cards where you just have to write things that you want to do or things that you have faith for. And one of the things that
mm,
I wrote was that I will be healed from high blood pressure. Even though it sounds weird, but then there's a God up there, a miracle worker. And there's so many different people who got through healing phases and different diseases, different situations, but they got out of it. So I think it's just a thing where you just have to tell yourself first before
mm.
going to people, because they say charity begins at home. So at least if
Yeah,
you,
of course.
yeah. So if you just keep reminding yourself, I will be okay, I will be okay, even if it comes back, you will still get over it. You will still overcome it because you are more than what people may may think of you. So I think
Mm,
in my sense, that's how I deal with things like that. Because people also have their own opinions about certain things. So
of course.
yeah, if you can get to listen to 10 opinions at the same time, now you have no clue which one to take in. But at least instincts, always
Mm.
trust your gut feeling more than anything else. I think that's what I believe in.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I trust more than anything,
Mm,
it's my gut. If it tells me something is wrong, something is definitely wrong.
yeah.
And most of the time, when it tells me that something is wrong, something always ends up being wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I trust my gut. So, of course, sometimes it's not 100%, but then you always know, like, you know what? This person is lying to me.
Mm.
This person is lying to me because your gut will tell you things that no one else wants to do.
Yeah.
You know, you're out there putting yourself out there for something, or some you find yourself in a certain situation, and your gut is just telling you like, you know what, just leave.
Mm.
That's the one thing that you need to pay to. There's always that voice in your head that's like, no, this is not it. You know. But yeah, dude, we moved. Life is not what we've always wanted it to be. But then,
Yeah. Of course. At least we live and we learn. And
yeah, we live and we learn.
yeah. And I also picked up this uh, thing. I think on your page, should be Instagram. I
Mhm.
noticed that you are a wine lover. So
Okay, let's go.
so do you? Okay, I think I just had two thoughts at the same time. Right, you are a wine lover. Uh, did you ever like use that as a way to cope with depression? Picking up from the conversation we previously had, where you were saying that depression is putting you in a space where you want to quit alcohol. Don't know if I made sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. It did, Shem. There was a point where everything around me felt like it was falling apart, and I used to find comfort in alcohol.
Mm.
So it was so bad that I always had something to drink in the house. Uh, You'd open my fridge, you probably not find meat, but you'll find alcohol. And that's how bad it was. So lately, it was like my latest episodes. I stood by the fridge for like 10 minutes. I was like, do I really want to do this?
Mm.
Do I really want to drink this much? Then I just told myself that no, I don't want to be drinking that much. So I just closed the fridge and just decided, you know what, maybe I'm not going to quit alcohol. I don't know what's happening to me right now, but I'm just gonna deal with this with a sober sense.
Mm.
Like I just want to deal with this stuff with a sober sense, and then sometime along the journey, it was just like, what, this. Yeah, I still want to drink, but not as much as I'm currently doing. So it's like that aspect of me. I can see it's already changed.
Mm.
I don't drink as much as I used to do. I don't. I'm not gonna be like this is a long weekend. I'm probably gonna spend most of my time doing other stuff. I'm not even thinking about alcohol. So yeah, I believe everything comes to an end, dude. Everything happens to an end. Dude. I love wine. I'm not gonna lie. I love wine, but then it feels like it's probably part of the bigger problem, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I also think that if people force you to stop
mm,
like drinking, I've noticed that with a lot of people. If people are
mm.
pushing you, stop drinking, 9 times out of 10, most people never stop because they are told,
Yeah,
oh,
of course. It's a decision that has to come from you.
exactly, exactly.
It's a decision that has to come from you.
Mm.
So yeah, alcohol. I don't know. It's been it's been nice. It's been a long journey, but I feel like it's coming to an end soon.
Yeah, and
All right. At least I want it to come to an end. Yeah,
Yeah, and I'm sure you will come to a part with it. Uh, because yeah, like you said that you're being prompted to move away from it, which is actually a good sign. Because
yeah.
the worst thing that can happen to anyone is being depressed and then you have no control whatsoever. You keep on consuming, consuming. Next thing, it's either you're gone. Because health wise, they always put health warnings like alcohol may be hazardous to health. So, I mean, it's something we can't run away from.
And the nice thing about alcohol is it saves you water. That's
Mm,
the only nice thing about it. It saves you water, but in the long run, it doesn't really do anything for you, to be honest. You get drunk today, a hangover tomorrow. That's it.
yeah. It saves
Mm.
it saves you water first, then costs you water that your body needs.
Then cause you exactly, so it's like it is what it is.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm
Mm.
sure you will succeed in that. And then I even picked up, you got back to attending live matches. Uh,
Yeah.
is that like one of the habits you use to cope with your depression?
I've always been into sports. Like
Mm,
I feel like I love sports probably more than anything that I'm ever gonna do. I don't know what my future is gonna be like, but I always believe I'm always gonna end up in sport. I don't know in what capacity and stuff. So lately, I got the chance to start watching like live matches and stuff. Because now I'm free on most of the days
mm,
where that actually happens. So I was just like to myself, you know what? Why not? Let me just do this. Maybe I'm actually gonna enjoy it. And guess what? I actually enjoyed it.
mm.
Like for me, when I get into the stadium, there's this certain noise that happens. It just calms my mind.
Yeah, yeah,
It just calms my mind. So it was like, I guess we're back here again. If it's meant to be, it is what it is. It will happen.
yeah. And
Mm.
here's a funny thought I just came up with. Um, you enjoy the noise, then there's
Yeah, I enjoyed that.
then there's the results from your favorite team.
Yeah.
How how do you strike a balance with that? Let's take for example, it's our team, right? Man, you know what the team has been doing the whole season. There's the aspect of the crowd, then there's the aspect of the results. Like yeah, I think just like any other soccer fan, once the team
Mm.
loses, there's a lot of disappointment, you know, hate, a lot of those things. So have those things contributed to your state, or it's just the things that just pass by?
Now, when it comes to sport, like, yeah, I am invested, but not that much.
Okay.
Not that I will lose sleep over it and stuff. And when it comes to Man United, I've just accepted that, you know what, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It is what it is. They win if they don't win. Uh, you can't really do much about it. And this whole depression thing has also taught me, like, I can't really worry about things that I have no control over.
Mm.
You know, these guys are probably like 10,000 kilometers away. They're playing soccer, so I can't really do much about it. Yeah, of course, I want to be able to do much about something about it, but there isn't much that I can do about it. So yeah, there's that.
And I'm always telling people, like joking with
Mm,
people at work or even my friends, that
mm,
things like sport, they help you build endurance as well, especially
yeah.
Man United. I think that's the team that has made me strong at the core. You are able to deal with almost anything in life, you know, as funny as
Yeah, it can build your resilience, but it should never be like that. Well, that team stresses me. That team stresses me. Like, oh, you have no idea.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, out of interest's sake, we've got a game tomorrow, 10 p.m. against Brentford.
I'm not even sure I'm gonna watch that, to be honest.
Why not?
Dude, I don't enjoy watching Man United anymore. Like, I don't at all. I'm just like, no, man. Yeah, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. There's still a lot can happen between now and 10 p.m. tomorrow.
Definitely, definitely. And you know, he
Yeah.
he is the funny thing about myself. I'm quite a
Mm.
crazy person to the point where I think during the start of the season, I would actually I would actually pray before matches
The joke is on you, dude. The joke is on you.
for the team, and then you're like, still if the team loses, so I wasted my prayer,
I wasted my time. I
wasted
wasted
prayer.
my way. Oh yeah. And there's but the way was it happening for you?
The what?
The when you were praying, was it actually like making sense for you?
Uh, to a certain extent, yeah, because I think for most parts of my life, I've always been a spiritual kind of person. So
Mm-hmm.
you get to learn things like you can pray for anything because there's even a verse in the Bible that says, "Don't worry about anything, but pray over everything." So in a way, I'm just
Yeah.
like, what if I just pray for this? What if I just pray for that? It didn't always work, but then it
Mm-hmm.
some to me it felt like really normal. Like, okay, I enjoy doing something like this because it's part of me. So that's how natural I am. So yeah, it made sense.
I get you. I get you.
Hmm.
But from this whole listen, now I'm the one who's interviewing you, and from the whole from your personal experiences and stuff, what was the biggest surprise that you got from all that?
Mm. I think my biggest surprise was that
Mm.
I I didn't know how strong I was in the sense that I grew up as this quiet, shy little kid. Confidence wise, I struggled. Even to this day, I still struggle with confidence. But just being able to go through that, I really noticed that I'm quite strong in taking and handling those things because I then get to tell myself that it happened today, tomorrow I'll be okay. And yeah, so I think in endurance, in short, I didn't know I had that. I always felt like, nah, I'm just gonna be the one that gets wiped away by by all of that. So yeah,
Mm.
I'll say endurance.
Yeah, I get you. For me, the biggest take was the biggest surprise in this drama was
Mm,
I think the way I started falling in love with myself all over again
mm,
because I started realizing that my happiness, I'm in charge of my own happiness.
exactly.
Yeah, you can have other people in your life and stuff, but then it all starts with you loving yourself the right way. It all starts with you respecting yourself before you can be able to respect the next person.
Mm.
So my biggest surprise from all this was like that me, I've actually started falling in love with myself again. Like at this point in time, I'm not the one thing that I can be sure of is that I love myself. You know, I've prioritized myself. I'm now gonna prioritize my mental health going forward. If I'm not fine with something, I'm not gonna be like, ah, you know what, maybe I'll deal with it later. I'm just gonna be like, take it head on, and yeah, see what happens from there.
Yeah, and I think that's like the best thing for anyone,
Mm.
being able
Yeah, so
to
being
do.
able to, this is me now.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm.
acceptance is the key to honesty. Once you accept,
Yeah,
you, yeah.
because there are some things I can change, dude. As much as I want to, there are some things that are out of my control.
Mm.
There are some things that, whatever happens, I'm still out here dealing with that stuff alone, you know.
Mm.
So yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's a good thing. And since I got to know that you
Mm.
stay alone, I've always had the thoughts of visiting South Africa because I've not been there, and I'm not even shy to say I've been to
Yeah,
South Africa. So I think when I make my plan, when everything comes together, I think I'll definitely be crashing at your place.
you should come, dude. I don't mind having people over. It's actually nice to have people over.
Yeah,
The
it's
worst thing is when
someone
you
like me, of course.
the worst thing is when you're watching TV and you got no one to talk to. You're watching soccer and something scores. Now you're celebrating by yourself. You want to give someone a high five, and you realize, oh, I'm alone.
You end up high
That's
five.
the way. Yeah, you end up high fiving yourself, right? Yeah. But yeah, you should come. You just let me know. You should come, dude.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because I think it's also one of the things that I felt are quite helpful because
Mm-hmm.
most times I always stayed home. I was like the stay-at-home kid. To a certain extent, I think it helped me in the sense that here in Southerton, you've got people dealing with the drugs and everything. So I
Mm-hmm.
was, I think I was saved from getting into that space. But then also being so used to staying at home, you don't, you're not open-minded enough to look at life in different aspects. Like, oh, okay, I can travel, I can do this. The best thing, one of the best things that happened to me was traveling to Victoria Falls last year with my family.
Mm-hmm.
To this day, that memory stays fresh. I'm always thinking to myself, like, man, uh,
When are we doing this again?
yeah. And well, the unfortunate thing now is there's actually uh, a trip to SA in, I should be sometime next week, but I'm unable to go because of certain commitments that I have at this point.
Mm.
But that then gave me the strength to just tell myself, like, okay, I need to organize a plan to just go to South Africa. I think the fears that I used to have or still have now is South African crime because I'm always telling myself, like, I mean, I don't want to die, so I'm never gonna go to, SA.
I've been here for a while now, and it's still my biggest fear, dude. Like going out, just leaving the house and coming back like in one piece
Mm,
is a blessing, dude. Like anything can happen anytime, anywhere.
yeah.
But also me being here has also taught me like whatever you do, just know where you're hanging out.
Mm,
Don't put yourself in a situation where anything can happen to you.
true.
You know. And you also need to listen to your gut, like you said. If it tells you like, ah, you know what, Don't do this. Don't do it. But the problem with that, with this side, is there is always something to do.
Mm.
You see, there is always something to do. Up to a point that I never had that fear. But um, one of my biggest fears now is actually hitting 40, 50 years and you've got nothing but nice pictures and to show for it. Like you've got nothing. You just have nice pictures to show for it. Oh yeah, I used to do this, I used to do that, but you've got nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
That's my biggest fear. Yeah. I can at least get to 40, 50 and be like, oh yeah, I used to have fun, then I bought a house, then I used to have fun, then I did this. But yeah, and it's happening, trust me, it's happening. I see a lot of 40, 50-year olds on this side. Well, actually looking forward to going out every Friday.
Mm.
You know, people are looking forward to spending Saturday drinking. I'm like, you know, so yeah, it all comes down to priorities.
That's true.
It
That's
all comes down to priorities.
that's true. And I
Mm,
think my last question, or rather, yeah, the
mm.
question, because I know we can go like the whole day just talking about this thing. We definitely can.
Yeah.
But like, what message of hope would you like to give to anyone out there who's actually struggling with depression? I I I I really liked water art grades, just throwing in questions or and but I know there's probably some who are in the conversation, but might be struggling with that. What message of hope would you like to share with the viewers here?
Yeah, network is acting up now.
For real?
Yeah, yeah, it's breaking. But I hate what you say though.
Okay.
I feel like the best message I can ever get to someone is surround yourself with people who care about you. You know,
Mm,
people that you don't have to doubt or ask yourself if they care about you. You just know that okay, this person actually cares about me,
mm,
and be honest about it. Like guys, I'm going through stuff. A lot of people actually understand. But then they can't understand stuff that you don't tell them.
mm,
And most of the time, like just having a conversation actually helps. That's what I've realized.
true.
You don't need to be, yeah, we don't need to be strong all the time. That's what I can say.
Mm,
We don't need to be strong all the time. And also allow yourself to heal.
exactly.
Because once you're healed and your head is in a better space, that's when you can always try and think of your next move.
Sure.
You know?
All right.
So yeah, that's my chat.
Yeah. Wise words. Brief, but powerful.
Straight to the point.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a good thing. But yeah, I think for the sake of time, uh, I really want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for reaching out and just being able to bravely share your story with the world. I mean, I really do appreciate that.
Actually, thanks for sparing me a few minutes of your time. I know you're a busy man, but thanks very much for having me. It was nice. We haven't caught up in a while.
But we will do.
So, yeah, we'll definitely do. We'll definitely do. I will let you know when I know exactly what my plan is.
Mm.
Mm. But yeah, don't be a stranger.
I won't. Now that I know certain things, yeah, I won't.
Yeah, yeah, don't be a stranger. Nah, it's all good, dude. Uh, I'm gonna let you go spend time with your family.
Yeah, church, of course. Good Friday
Are you
service.
going to church today?
Yeah, like right now it's like 18 minutes to 12. Service starts at 12, so I'll probably have to dash.
Yeah, yeah. So let me let you bounce. I will talk to you later.
Sure, I think I'll just do my my simple outro for for the people watching and for the people that are going to be watching on YouTube as well.
Okay.
So yeah, thank you for being part of the show, Tinashe, and thank you
Uh,
to the viewers that joined in. Uh, I apologize we couldn't do it on the Stride platform because of technicalities, but we'll definitely get a chance to do it again in a better way. So yeah, follow my channel, subscribe, like, share, comment, leave your thoughts. I would always like to know what you guys think. And yes, I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you to my brother for showing up.
no worries. Thank you for having me.
Sure, have a good day. Have a good Easter. Same
You too, dude.
for the
Say
viewers.
hi to the family.
I definitely will. Say hi to whoever is close to you.
Papa, you're an idiot.
Thank you. Bye.
Cheers.
Sure.